All right, it's time for Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sahid Fuhad, the show where we look at the major issues in the political space. Today is going to be interesting. It's a bumper package. We have 4 issues to consider on the show this evening. 3 of the issues are not issues here in Nigeria. We're looking at what is happening globally, in other parts of the world. Kenya. The protesters are not backing down. The Gen Zs of Kenya have decided to make their voices heard, and it's turned violent. People have lost their lives. The president has conceded, but the anger in Kenya has not receded, even though the president has conceded to the wishes of the young Kenyans who, against what we know of young people in the world who concentrate majorly on things like entertainment and other kinds of quote-unquote frivolities, they've decided to make their voices heard on what is now a rested financial bill in the parliament. Again, that will be our first issue on the roundtable this evening. Kenya protests. Protests continue as president's tax hike concession failed to quell anger. What is next for President William Ruto? A man that came in with a lot of goodwill. We're going to look at his history, a long history of politics, of being at the corridors of power. A man that came in against all expectations. Even his principal did not endorse him. He decided to endorse even an opposition leader, but he won the elections on the goodwill of the people. In fact, a majority of the youths that are protesting against him at this time were the people that voted, the generation of people that voted for him. He seems to have lost all the goodwill, and so we'll be asking ourselves on the roundtable this evening, what is next for President Ruto now that the protesters are calling for his exit from power? They've rested the agenda of killing the financial bill. What they now want is his exit from power. So that's the first issue on the roundtable this evening. The second issue: elections are coming up in July. In July, the UK will be having their elections, and a lot of issues have also come out of this. I've always told people, like, this part of the world, the dominant issues as far as the UK elections, I think it's July 4, the 4th of July, they'll be having their elections. Taxes, immigration, healthcare, home ownership, clean energy, children and education are the dominant issues as far as the UK elections are concerned. I think it's a 2-horse race.
What time road?
Get there.
Road construction.
Very interesting, really. Taxes, immigration, healthcare, home ownership, clean energy, children and education have been the dominant issues in that election, and it's a 2-horse race, really, between Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the opposition leader from the Labour Party, Keir Starmer. The two of them are going to slug it out. Well, for people who don't know, the UK has got more than 2 parties. You have the Labour Party, you have the Conservatives, you have the Liberal Democrats, the Reform UK. I think that's the one that's led by Farage, the Brexit man.
Nigel Farage.
He
used to be the leader of the UKIP.
Yeah, and then of course it's now come the Reform UK.
UK Reform.
His reform is the reason why they are still in trouble. The Brexit. I think they have not been able to go past the challenges of Brexit. There's also the SNP, which is the largest political party,
Scottish National Party.
Yeah, Scottish National Party in Scotland, and the Green Party. But I think we just decide, because of time, focus on the Conservatives and the Labour Party and see who the odds favor at this time. Again, basically, UK July elections, Rishi Sunak versus Keir Starmer. Who does the odds favor? People have made predictions. We look at those predictions, and of course, we have Barrister Curtis Adigba in the studio to help us look at what the voters will be doing come July the 4th as far as the UK elections are concerned. And so that will be the second issue. Of course, we can't look at global issues without talking about the elections in the United States of America. The first presidential debate was held in the past week between President Joe Biden and, of course, his immediate predecessor, former President Donald Trump. And I was awake, really. I wanted to see the debate. It was a well-publicized debate. But I think I'll leave Barrister Curtis to really tell us what he thinks about the outcome of that debate. But just after the debate, even from a lot of the democratically inclined media of the United States, a lot of them says the Democrats are worried. They are worried for Joe Biden. They are worried about the elections. And
also worried about Obama in 2012.
Okay,
after the first debate with Mitt Romney.
Well, we'll get there. But again, basically, we're looking at
Democrats are too fragile. That's the problem.
Biden told to withdraw from presidential race after abysmal debate.
For who now?
With Trump. Will he throw in the towel? names have been popping up. Different names. We'll talk about it by Mr. Curtis. And then lastly on the show, again, we're going to be very fast about these issues today because I really want us to touch on the 4 issues. After we've touched on the Kenya protest, the UK elections, the presidential debate and elections in the US, we'll come back home. The conversation around 2027 is building up. Things are happening. People are making statements. Meetings are being held. We're already seeing, politicians making moves ahead of 2027 elections. Again, I keep saying it. The way we run our politics here, you win one election, their eyes is on the next one. So, Senator Shehu Sani is saying that the North is compiling issues to push Tinubu away in 2027 as El Rufai continues his meetings. He has now met with the leader of the NNPP, Senator Rabiu Kwankwan, so the leader of the Kwankwansia movement. But what Shehu Sani, Senator Shehu Sani, of course, the very popular Shehu Sani from Kaduna State, is saying is that the North, the leaders of the North are already compiling issues to push Tinubu away, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu away in 2027. And we've been asking ourselves this evening, how worried should the president be? Because we've been seeing the movement. We've seen the movements and the meetings in Katsina State. We've seen El Rufai. We've seen Atiku, all making these movements. And Shehu Sani is saying that, look, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, be careful. Meetings are being held. They are piling up issues, to push you out of power in the year 2027. So those are the 4 major issues for consideration on the roundtable this evening. We have Barrister Curtis Adigba in the studio. We're going to run it solo to get on the show this evening. We hope that we're going to have enough time really to dig into these issues, get ourselves enlightened and educated about the issues. We are streaming the show live on Facebook. So you can actually watch the show live on Facebook and YouTube. You can also start to drop your comments and contributions. Of course, we will read out the comments and contributions later on the show. It's also interactive, so we'll definitely open up the phone lines to also take your calls and contributions on today's show. We'll go straight to business because of time. You're welcome to the show by Mr. Curtis Adigba.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll go straight to business. Kenyan President William Ruto's decision to decline from signing into law a bill proposing new taxes has significantly diffused tension across the country. Again, the protests are not as heavy as much as when he has said he was not going to, rescind his decision to sign the bill. Now he has conceded, and the protests have gone down a bit, but the youths are still in the street. But what the report is saying, Barrister Curtis, is that look, it has dented his prestige, and for Ruto's administration, the additional taxes were necessary to shore up revenue by nearly $2.7 billion. Again, almost the same problem like Nigeria. The debt, the old debt profile of Kenya is about $82.1 billion. And so Ruto basically was looking at these taxes.
The poor people.
we're getting there. So in order to pay, and all of that. So protesters have, however, saw them as punitive, since the high cost of living already makes it hard to get by. They were infuriated, they got on the streets, and again, people have lost their lives. I think the count, very difficult to confirm some of these deaths, really, but official figures are saying it could be well over 20 persons that have been killed. About 24 of them, 24,
Just double it.
Yeah, because again,
in Africa,
Africa, you can't have the exact figures. But the youths are in the street, Barrister Curtis Adigba. They are still protesting. We have a visually impaired senator who also made a very bold case for the youths of Kenya, the Gen Zs who are in the streets protesting against, this financial bill, the taxes, standards of living. We've seen quite a number of looting. You know, some of these lootings have happened in major districts. Suburbs are now on high alert. The police is still in the streets. Some of the military, personnel have also been deployed into parts of Kenya. It's not looking very, very good. Like you just told me, some of these protests are already spreading into neighboring Uganda. And there are people who are saying that, look, is this another Arab Spring coming from Africa, the African Spring? But before I allow you delve into the issue, Mr. Curtis Adigba, let's listen to Senator Asige, the only visually impaired senator, female senator, from the Parliament of Kenya, what she had to say, and then we'll just take it from there. Still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We'll be right back.
Due to yesterday's horrifying scenes, we can't go home. Are we trying to say that renovations of windows and offices are more important than speaking for bloodshed and lives lost yesterday? We cannot, Mr. Speaker. And I, as a young person, as the first young person speaking to this motion, as a youth in this house, I am speaking for the youth who are outside of this house. We cannot go on a recess. It is wrong, and it would be completely insensitive to do so. Mr. Speaker, darkness fears democracy. I rarely wake up in the morning wishing for my eyesight to be restored. But what a sight to be able to behold. This last week had me aching with desire to see my fellow youth in the most spectacular display of patriotism, camaraderie, and putting up a first-rate masterclass. But unity, Mr. Speaker, has been, although this government has demonstrated that lifeless Kenya and shown them that when it comes down to the wire, there are only two times to be brave: when you feel like it and when you don't. My profound disappointment with the current government and its forceful assault on crowds of innocent youth, Speaker, by its nefarious police officers who have gone rogue on unarmed young citizens peacefully exercising their constitutional right towards an uncaring, a corrupt, and wasteful government in their eyes that has turned its back on them, cannot be emphasized enough, Speaker. The brute force used against young, unarmed protesters reveals the operating system built into the fabric of today's government. And when they kill us, Speaker, they're killing themselves. The arrogance from some of these top government officials has been outrageously condescending to young people, disgusting and reminiscent of narcissistic abuse.
All right, that was the voice of Senator Crystal Asige. She's visually impaired, a very young senator, putting her thoughts out on the protests going on in Kenya. Of course, so much emphasis on wasteful government spending, insensitive government policies, brutal force against young Kenyans who want their voices heard. She said quite a lot. We just have to pick, from all she said. Again, speaking for the youths of Kenya who are protesting against a financial bill that was to impose all manner of taxes on the people. Again, President, William Ruto is in trouble. Barrister Curtis Adigba, what is next for him?
So here's the problem, and I think what is going on in Kenya, especially with the behavior of the president, that was helped across the line by the same young people, the Gen Z of Kenya.
Of course, yes.
Objectify the conscience-free, swindling attitude of African leaders. They come back for votes when they need the votes, but as soon as they get to power, they turn their backs on the African people. And that is why perpetually Africa has remained the laughingstock of the world, because of these same swindlers who have no conscience, they don't fear God, they have no respect for human beings. All they think about is themselves, their family, and their survivor. Look, first of all, let me express my condolences to the families of the young lives cut down, needlessly cut down in Kenya. That didn't need to happen. Now, and for you to understand exactly what is going on in Kenya, and to back what I said in my opening statement, is that, like you observed, William Ruto is not new to governance. In fact, he has featured prominently in two arms of government. First and foremost, he was a parliamentarian.
Of course, yes.
Representing Eldoret between 1997, and at some point to 2020, 2013. He had also been he had been a member of the Federal Executive Council in Kenya.
Yeah.
3 times appointed as minister. First of all, he was minister first and foremost for Home Affairs, then became Minister of Agriculture, and he was also Minister of Higher Education under Arap Mwai Kibaki.
Yeah.
And then he was the first person to be elected deputy president in Kenya. Because you see, before him, they had vice presidents who were never elected.
Just as running mates.
Yes, but they were never elected. They were appointed by the president. That was how Arap Moi was appointed by Jomo Kenyatta.
Jomo Kenyatta, yeah.
Arap Moi also appointed Mwai Kibaki.
Yeah.
As vice president. Both Arap Moi and Mwai Kibaki became president at some point.
Just from vice president to becoming president,
yes. Yeah. So, Ruto is not new to power. Now, he has been in power almost all his life. In fact, from the age of 40, he's been in government.
At different levels.
At different level. And now, he also served 10 years as the deputy president under President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah.
Don't forget that he was originally a supporter of Raila Odinga. Because for you to understand Kenyan politics, you also have to understand the tripod of Kenyan politics.
Kenyan politics, yes.
3 dominant ethnic groups: the Kikuyu, the Luos, and the Kalenjis. Ruto is a Kalenji, Raila Odinga is a Luo, Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta are Kikuyus. Now, you remember that in 2007 to 2008, there was that election, disputed election between Raila Odinga and then the sitting president, Mwai Kibaki. That led to the death of so many people. The violence after that election. William Ruto at that time supported Raila Odinga. Okay? But
not even Kibaki.
No, he supported Raila Odinga. In fact, the people he was accused of murdering with Uhuru Kenyatta, because they were also accused of
genocide at that time.
and then charged before the ICC in The Hague. They were women and children who had huddled together, running away from the violence. The allegation was that he set fire to that house and got all of them killed by fire. So this is one man that has been in government. And the usual attitude of African leaders is, anytime there is a problem in the economy, either it is excessive debt or lack
excessive
of
borrowing,
or whatever it is,
the poor people have to suffer.
The easiest place they go to
solve the problem
is the people, the poor people who cannot resist.
That was never a part of the plundering of the wealth of the nation.
Yes. Look at how they piled up the debt in Kenya. It's not the poor people of Kenya that piled up the debt.
That would have taken $82.1 billion. With nothing really to show for it.
In government at different levels and at different times. It's part of those who created the problem in Kenya today. Running away from fighting those who created the problem because he feels that, I can deal with these people and they cannot resist.
The people, the ordinary people.
So what is he looking for? He's looking for more money.
More taxes.
For his elite and himself to steal, while the people continue to bear the burden. The burden that they didn't create, they are going to bear it. And that was what happened. So he looked around, and his borrowers are saying to him, Mr. President, we can't give you more money.
Unless you show us you can pay.
Unless you show us that you can pay. And he said, no, don't worry.
We tax the people.
New set of taxes, and it's going to bring in X amount of money, and we'll start paying you.
And then you can give us more money.
Give us more money. And that was the genesis of the bill that led to this problem.
The financial bill, yeah.
And in the course of passing this bill, the president had to travel on a chartered flight to the US.
To the US, yeah, which was also criticized.
When he had access to Kenyan Airways flight. The British Prime Minister, the King of England, all of them fly British Airways. In the case of the Queen, all they do is to commandeer one aircraft.
For her alone.
Yes, and take her to wherever she wants to go. And that's what they do for the king too. But Ruto refused to do that.
He said his friends donated it to him at a very affordable, rate.
Well, so what we are saying is that this is a guy who was poor, sold chicken by the wayside, and by the way, he has one of the biggest poultry farms in Kenya. It's estimated to be worth over $451 million US.
His worth.
Yes. It's been also been involved in a lot of controversies. The Western Hotel, built close to the airport, is accused of stealing the land from the government. Only recently he offered to pay some money back. So what we are facing here is a kind of African leadership, example of an African leadership that don't care about the people. It's all about themselves and those in power with them. Because this shouldn't even happen in the first place. And then to make matters worse, he deployed the armed forces against these young people who were just demanding for fairness and equity in the system. And now 24 of them are dead. What is he going to do? So it's not enough to say, I'm not going to sign the bill anymore. I concede. Concede what? It shouldn't have happened in the first place. It's not cutting down the cost of governance in Kenya.
That's what the youths are saying.
Parliamentarians and executive members are living like lords, just like what you see in Nigeria. At a time when we are saying people are suffering, the most important bill or proposition is how to buy 2 new aircraft. No, we must tell ourselves the truth.
Your Senate president has told you.
And what
we have not gotten the bill, but if it comes, we'll sign it.
So what else do you want to hear?
He said no, that look, no matter the amount of blackmail.
The bill is coming from the House of Reps.
Yes.
And it's going to go to the Senate.
Yes.
And the point I'm saying to you is that these guys don't even think about the people. They're not worried about how people perceive this. Just look at it.
Yes.
You are struggling with paying school fees. You are struggling with security. Every Nigerian today is a local government on his own. You
do everything yourself.
So that's why I say amend the constitution and say the number of local governments in Nigeria are unknown.
Maybe 250 million.
if it's not borehole today,
you have to provide your own water.
Where do you draw your water from?
Public water supply. Public water. It's borehole.
Don't you use more of your generating set
for power? Yeah.
For power
or solar or what have you. Yeah.
And then you pay all kind of taxes.
And security, it has to be OPC, vigilante, or gates or what have you.
Go to any estate in Lagos today or in Nigeria. They are basically occupied territories. You have to move from one part of the estate to another. You have to call certain number of people because of gates all over the place.
There's no security.
And then you begin to ask yourself, what is actually government? What is the purpose of government?
What are they doing for the people?
And the same government wants to tax Nigerians more. They are boasting about revenue that they're generating like in Kenya, which was warfare in Kenya. In Nigeria, they are boasting. In fact, the president even said to the governors, I'm giving you more money since we came in. And the question you want to ask yourself, how has more money translated
to better living for the people?
Of the people. So these are insensitive people. They only think and care about themselves. The only time they think about the people is when they want their votes. And look, the other problem in Africa is that you go to any African country, the presidents are talking about hope and patience. Hope and patience. Don't worry, we are working for you.
When it comes to their own needs.
When it comes to the needs of the people.
The people is hope and patience.
Be patient, make more sacrifices and all that.
Light is coming.
But they hate patience. They can't wait for them. They can't be patient for the future. They are taking their own right now.
You need a presidential jet, you must get it.
You get it.
You need the SUVs, you must get it now.
You need to renovate where you are living, you must get it. Whatever you need, you need to travel with 100 people, you go. You are not considering cutting costs of governance. But every time you needed more money, you go back to the same people. The people that are suffering, the people that you have seemingly abandoned to their own fate. And this is the problem. This is why Africa is struggling. There appear to be one kind of ecosystem in which all African leaders are operating. Nobody wants to break out of that system and say, I need to do something much better for the people.
Governance should be about the people, not about this select few.
If democracy was not alive in Kenya, William Ruto would never have been president.
Yeah, because again,
the sitting president
did not even endorse him.
Did not endorse Raila Odinga. And it was this young group of young people
that voted for him,
who identified with him as the hustler, that went to the spot onto the streets to cast a vote for him. Now, the Constitutional Court saw the desire
of the young people.
He didn't meet the constitutional threshold.
Requirement,
he was shot by, but the Constitutional Court pulled him through.
Let's just have it.
So it's so disappointing that a man like William Ruto will see power as only something that he needs to satisfy his own needs.
You know, that's what Senator Crystal Asige is saying, that the government has turned their back on the people.
Exactly.
So again, by Sarkozy, because if you look at the whole scenario now, I've listened to President Ruto speak maybe 2 or 3 times since this whole protest started. He's a disturbed man. He looks dejected. He looks
no, I don't think so.
Look, because again, I look at his body language. Even if when he was conceding, look, I consider and therefore I will not sign the 2024 finance bill. It shall subsequently be withdrawn. He keeps saying that, look, I've heard what people are saying. Although he tries to justify it, we have this huge debt hanging on the neck of the nation.
Created by who?
You know, but the youths are saying that, look, he now has to leave power. That's what they are saying.
So this is the problem.
Can the youth pull that through?
They can, and this is the problem. You see, people do not understand that without moral authority,
yes,
political authority is useless. You see, Ruto came into power riding on the approval of this young people.
He said he avoided issues of ethnicity. He spoke to the minds of the people associated with their needs and wants, and you know, they gave him their votes.
Right now, is superintending over a diminished presidency. Going forward, if he remains the president of the Republic of Kenya, he's going to walk on thin ice. Because you see, this is not going to stop. The people have found their voices,
and they now know their strength.
They're never going to give that up. And don't forget that this is not a flash in the pan as far as Kenya is concerned. Kenya fought the bloodiest war of independence in Africa.
The Mau Maus.
The Mau Mau, of course. And at every time Kenyans felt cheated or treated badly or abandoned by their people, they always fight back. 2007, 2008 elections,
it was bloody.
So what happened? It was bloody. So going forward, he has a huge task on his hand to reclaim the trust of the people. And I don't think he'll be able to do that because he's also an arrogant man if you look at his posturing.
But again, arrogance will not solve the problem because again, you have a group of youths who are so resolute.
Yes.
The Gen Zs, and if you look at their level of understanding of issues, Barrister Curtis Adigba, you'll be amazed. The way they dissect issues, I've listened to the Gen Zs of Kenya dissect figures, analyze figures, talk about government policies intelligently, using social media to drive the narrative. Look, President Ruto is in trouble. He's working against a set of people who can mobilize themselves properly.
He's swimming against the tide. No, he's climbing very steep mountains. Now, here's the problem, and here's the good thing about Kenya. These young people are not carried away by religious and ethnic divide.
I'm not even talking about that.
If you look at the history, the political history of Kenya, you have seen a careful and strategic interaction amongst the major ethnic groups. Jomo Kenyatta as president,
Daniel Arap Moi,
Kikuyi, Arap Moi Ekelenjin as vice president.
Kibaki came in
when Moi
left.
Arap Moi left him Mwai
Kibaki, yeah.
And one other person before Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki was the second vice president.
No, they've had 5 presidents actually, yeah.
Yes, Ruto is the fifth
president, yes.
So you have seen now that even when
there's that equitable, there's that.
Yeah, they try among themselves.
They are,
the voters also try to ensure that they have a united country.
And there's that fairness and equity. Yeah.
Exactly. So you see that at the point, Odinga as a Luo did not get this, got this time around, got the support of Kukui.
Yes.
The presidency of any country is a privilege. It's not a right. It's a trust given to you to work on behalf of the people. But what we see here is that they just look at this as an opportunity to be important. Carry siren up and down, talk down on the people, and show some level of careless arrogance.
Honestly, again, when we talk about arrogance and not really minding or reading the room or smelling the coffee, as you may want to put it, how distasteful can a statement be from the Senate president?
Look, we are getting report from here that we are being monitored. Everything we say here. Oh, people have called me and say, "Oh, we know you don't like the president. You do this." I told them, what I told them?
Yeah.
Tell the president to shut me up
with his performance.
With his performance. It's not it's not about liking or not liking him. It's my father. He's older than me and my father. We're not struggling over anything. I'm not president. I'm not even councillor.
You're not even running for office.
All I'm doing is I'm calling on him to keep the promises he made to the people. He said he was coming to help them. Let the poor breathe. Oh, take your knees off their neck. But his knees are the strongest ones on the knees of the Nigerian people.
The poor people.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not against the president. Even if it's APC, I've left the party for them. So I don't have issue with anybody. All I am saying is that the Nigerian people deserve better than they're getting.
Well, again, how fast can people lose the goodwill of the people? President William Ruto has a huge task ahead of him, really. Like you said, how he's going to be able to win back the confidence of the people.
It's going to be difficult.
We wait to see. And here's a man that does not look like resigning from office. He doesn't give the posturing as someone that would resign from office.
I don't think he will resign. Two things are likely to happen.
Yes.
It's either forced out of power. If the protests are sustained and they become more violent and more people are killed.
We have a lot of lootings going on now.
So what will happen is that the military that is banking on, we call on him to step down when they remove him forcefully from there. Now the second option will be that he will be able to manage things across until he gets to the end of his tenure, and then he'll be defeated. Yeah.
Because again, Raila Odinga is waiting in the wings, really. But again, we see the youths of Kenya trying to look at, they want to do away with the old order. I've also seen them at the conversation that look from Jomo Kenyatta to Daniel Arap Moi to Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, to the incumbent William Ruto, Raila Odinga. These are guys who have just been rotating power amongst themselves, and they want some breath of fresh air. They want new sets of people. That's also one conversation that is out there in Kenya from the lips of the Gen Zs of Kenya. So are we going to see the possibility of someone completely unknown to the political space in Kenya?
I think the days ahead are interesting for Kenya because I foresee a situation where this energy will be converted into a political force. Even if they don't succeed in upstaging William Ruto right now, I foresee a situation, because don't forget that William Ruto himself had been a member of about four, 5 political parties.
Yeah, he's been moving around, yes.
ODM, UAD, Jubilee, and all that. Because so these things are not stable in Kenya.
Yes.
You have alliances, you have groups moving left and right and all that. So I think right now, if they are able to convert this energy, the energy of the protest, into a political force, then William Ruto is in trouble, either now or
in the future, when they hold the next elections.
And I think they will be able to get a candidate who can come and properly represent them using the platform of one of the political parties.
All right, okay. We'll keep our eyes on what is happening in Kenya. The Gen Zs are taking charge. They're saying that, look, you must listen to us. It's a Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sahid Fuhad. We have Barrister Curtis Adigma in the studio. And I think we've been able to really dissect all of the issues as far as the protests is concerned. As the protests going on in Kenya. We're streaming the show live on Facebook and YouTube. I can see comments and contributions already dropping on our Facebook platform. You can also do that as we go on the show. Let's quickly move to the second issue. Elections are coming in the UK, July, the 4th of July. They will be having their elections. Basically, it's a two-horse race. Apart from the fact that, look, the other political parties will also be working to take some issue of their debate. People seems tired of the Conservatives. They've had a very rough
14 years.
Right, 14 years.
After Tony Blair,
and in 9 years, they've had 5 prime ministers, from the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, the woman that came with so much.
Theresa May, Boris Johnson.
That one spent 1 month.
Yes.
Liz Truss.
September to October.
Just the thing don't go. Then you have Boris Johnson, of course, from 2019 to 2022.
And David Cameron.
And then you have Theresa May, 2016 to 2019, and then David Cameron, 2010 to 2016. So
foreign minister now.
A foreign minister working on that. Again, the things you see in some of these countries, former prime minister working as a foreign minister, as a minister, it's just about service to the people. But
it's about service to the people.
The elections are showing, the predictions are showing, the polls are showing that, look, the Conservatives may lose out this time. The polls are in favor of the Labour Party. What do you think, Barrister Curtis Adigba?
Well, so we've had polls in the past suggesting that Labour
would win,
was going to inflict a bloodbath on the Conservatives, and it didn't happen. And of course, I understand why it didn't happen then, because the election between. Okay, so let me start this way: that Tony Blair was the last. It wasn't the last Prime Minister of Britain. It was Gordon Brown. Gordon Brown was not elected. Gordon Brown was the Chancellor of Exchequer under Tony Blair. He led a coup that forced Tony Blair out of power.
To resign, yeah.
But he's from Scotland. And then he led the Labour Party into a contest that he lost. Because you then had an alliance between the Conservative led by David Cameron.
Yeah.
And then Nick Clegg of Liberal Democrats.
Right.
That's how he became Prime Minister. Nick Clegg, he works for Facebook now, and became the Deputy Prime Minister. Now, after that, there had been other elections. But before then, you had the Brexit. The Brexit election.
That came, yeah.
And thereafter was Boris Johnson. Of course, after COVID, Boris Johnson had a
very rough ride.
Yes,
post-Brexit, yeah.
And then he was forced out. And Theresa May came in. Theresa May was forced to call a very sharp, quick election.
Yeah.
Based on the challenges he was getting from Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party.
Labour Party, yeah, that time.
Of course, again, the polls suggested that Labour was going to win.
The Conservative
won. And the case of Gordon Brown and Cameron was because, as you also understand, that there are cultural and tribal
issues to some of the elections. Yeah.
Some of the elections. There's no way the English people are going to allow a Scot to be Prime Minister through an election. Even when it was predicted that the SNP led by Nicola Sturgeon
at that time
was going to do very well, they didn't do well. But they won the seats they won were basically seats that they would have won
in their own strong areas. Yeah,
the same kind of seat under Alex Salmond when he was also the leader of the SNP. Now, what is going to happen is that I've told you all this
just to
get to the point
background,
where Rishi Sunak came in. When Theresa May was going to leave, Rishi Sunak was actually going to be, was Chancellor of Exchequer. He was projected to be the next Prime Minister. Again, these cultural and tribal forces came into play. The English people won't give it to an Asian, an Indian. So he went to Liz Truss.
Liz Truss at that time, yeah.
Liz Truss, of course, couldn't do the job. She was atrocious. Everything collapsed under her.
Yeah.
And then the English people wisely told themselves, we don't think we have anyone who can do this.
Let's give it, now. Irrespective of our cultural biases.
Because of this guy's knowledge.
Let's give it to him.
They brought him in.
That's how Rishi Sunak came in.
And he has stabilized the ship of state by some of the courts and the policies that they introduced. But these things are biting very hard on the people. And as a result of that, like you rightly pointed out, there is a fatigue with the Conservatives.
The minds of the people, yeah.
The minds of the people. And so this election that is coming on July 4th is predicted that Labour will win. In fact, I've seen some polling that suggests that, that suggested that Labour is going to pick up to 453 seats.
From the parliament.
From the parliament. Against that of Conservatives of 150 plus. And what that means is that if Labour is able to pick those seats, it means the next Prime Minister will be
Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party.
Of the Labour Party. But it's not a done deal yet. We still have to wait for people to vote in the next 4 days.
4 days, yeah.
What is important, however, is that you must understand why Theresa May held back Jeremy Corbyn from becoming prime minister.
Despite the polls not favoring the Conservatives at that time,
Corbyn is seen as a socialist.
Okay, yeah.
An extreme right,
far right
kind of person. No, a
right
centrist argument of for child
has not been able to pull through.
But a lot of people, the fact that moving this up, would think that immigrants are key role in the development of any economy.
Which their own people will not do.
That
only immigrants will do. Yeah.
Yes. So
the taxi drivers are the immigrants. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's me. That look, it's over.
To have their SSs, that they allow all kind
they
of. They
probably will not be
government.
Yeah.
So some of the things severe now
that the people are now.
People are feeling it, and then wishing that Labour comes back to power, so they can
to see. Some of this. It's about the people. Who do you tax? The poor or the rich? Do you relax taxes or bring in more taxes? Those are the conversations you hear in elections in this country, middle class. So they discuss issues basically. So, but again, a lot of comments actually dropping already. We have Kenny Busui, Omoyelu, Chewolota, Jonah Okoji, Benson Richie. Okay, and then we have Osi Moral, that's our friend from Ikeja Cantonment. We have Oluwatoyin Oyeyemi, Babatunde Ajewole, Tochukwu Adele, have all dropped their comments. We'll take the comments when the time comes. We go to the US. There's a lot to talk about, really, Barrister Curtis Aligba, as far as the elections in the US is concerned. In November, the elections are coming up in November.
Yeah.
I had to
first Tuesday in November.
I promised myself. I said no. There's no way I would miss this debate. The CNN debate, and I listened to the entire debate.
90 minutes.
It was 90 minutes. Yes, 1 hour 30 minutes, and there are growing calls. That's in fact, from just after the end of the debate, the post from the CNN had showed that Biden performed woefully, poorly in the debate.
I don't agree with them.
I'm coming, Mr. Curtis.
Biden
is
a stutterer from birth. I hope at some point. He came in with low energy. But don't forget that before that debate,
they said he had cold.
His campaigner put out a statement to say the president had a hostile away.
He doesn't want to debate me. Yeah.
Yes, Joe is somewhere hooked up to machines. It doesn't.
Right. We have some sound bites from the exchange during the debate. And then, Joe Biden has also accepted that, look, I might not be as fast in debates. I might not be so loud and confident with debates.
No, I think
I'm not as strong. I'm an old man. But I'm going to win this election. He's still saying he's going to win.
Let me tell you something. There's something called pundit lynching.
Okay.
Now, which flows from their understanding of what had happened, or from the expectation suit that they have built for the candidates. But they don't understand the optics that goes into debating. Debates are hard because you don't know what your opponent is going to come, or what form your opponent is going to come to you, or what is going to throw at you. Now, the expectation that those said having a presidential debate reset the race. He wanted to have an opportunity to present to the American people the two visions that are competing. He wanted to let them understand what he has accomplished so far, where he met the country, and where the country is right now.
But the Democrats are troubled. I listened to Van Jones on CNN.
Let me explain to you. And Van Jones is also part of the firecrackers. It's also part of the... Look, listen. Now, what was expected... Let me tell you about the expectation of the pundits first.
Yeah.
They wanted a fired up, smoking Biden.
Yeah.
To come there, attack Trump, say to him, you are a convict, and say all those kind of things.
A lot of them said they actually wanted him to, dispel a lot of the lies of Trump. Trump, again, I listened to half of what he was saying. Pure lies.
He was not there as a fact checker.
Well, the moderators they didn't fact check anything.
Exactly.
Actually, yeah.
That was the responsibility of the moderators. Biden
yes.
was there to talk about his vision for America. And that's why I said...
But the pundits are saying he could have taken advantage, of...
Let me explain to you the problem with the pundits. They build their expectation suit for every candidate.
Okay.
They want you to use their language. They want you to fight the way they will fight. Individuals have differences and approaches to doing things. And I'm going to give you an example. In 2012, the first debate between Barack Obama as sitting president and Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney, yeah.
Obama came looking tired,
frail,
disengaged. He couldn't even look at Romney in the face. Now, that was based on the advice given to him by his consultants that he is the president of the United States. He needs to act presidential.
Don't go all out attacking.
He didn't go to attack Romney, but they pundits expected him to hit Romney hard on the 47% comments that he made. That 47% of Americans don't pay taxes, and yet they expect everything from the government and all that. Obama never talked about that throughout that first debate. Obama was talking about his records, okay,
his achievements as president,
and why he needed a second term. So the pundits say, no, the president didn't fight. He was expected to come hard on this thing. Now, in the case of Biden, they expected that Biden, first of all, there were a group of people who said Biden should not debate Trump because he's an ex-convict. But having come there, they expected him to go on attacks. For instance, Trump said, oh, Biden would weaponize the DOJ. That's
against him and went after him. And he said he's going to do the same if he wins.
So they expected Biden to say to Trump,
it's your problem. It's not a DOJ thing. You had issues.
That's not even what they are saying. They are saying to that Biden should have said, okay, if I weaponize the Justice Department against you, did I also weaponize
against my son?
My son? But what Biden said on that is that, look, the U.S. has a judicial system
that functions independently, yeah.
And he has accepted the verdict
against his own son,
or even against his own son. You understand what I'm saying? Biden talked about his records. He compared himself to Trump. He talked about the unemployment rate that he met and where it is now. He talked about creating 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. And he said he would do more if given the opportunity. But the point they are making is that because in the 12th minute of the debate, he started talking and then he froze and ended up with Medicare. Unrelated at all. Of course, let me tell you something. The world expects unreasonable standards from people. I am not up to 60 years. In fact, I'm in my early 50s. I do froze.
Sometimes.
That is the truth. What people don't understand is the problem Peter Obi was facing in Nigeria. When you are too loaded with information, don't forget he was in Camp David for 1 week, where the consultants set to load him too much with all the information.
Somebody 3 weeks. Maybe they over prepared him.
Yes, instead of carrying physical binders, he carried those binders in his head. Yes, an old man.
He had too many information overload.
That's why it will be when he's quoting statistics.
Sometimes he models them, mumbles them up.
It's not easy. And for an 81-year-old man, he stood on his feet for 90 minutes. And I'm not saying he didn't have problem. But the other side, he was vigorous. He was forceful. He told his lies so proficiently. Like CNN said, it was a debate between an old man and a con man.
Yes.
He told more than 30 lies in 90 minutes.
That's Trump.
That's Trump.
No, he lied through the entire.
Everything he said, other than the fact that his name is Donald Trump,
majorly lies. Okay,
so but let's address the issue.
Yes, before we address the issues, because I'm sure maybe quite a number of people listening to us this evening, they don't even listen to the debates. It was for 90 minutes, but I think we have a 3-minute sound bite of the exchange, from the two, and then just after the debate,
Biden started the whole thing.
Yeah, and then Biden has been moving around.
It was in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the next day,
and he showed more energy.
Not just that he showed more energy.
Yes,
he then understood what was needed from him.
And he started it.
Let me give you an example.
We have the soundbite too.
Let me make this point before the soundbite. After that first debate in 2012, where Obama failed to attack Mitt Romney, the next debate was between Biden and Paul Ryan.
The running mates.
The VP.
Yeah, the VP.
And look, Obama needed to be sure that Americans would not be disturbed by attacks. So they sent Biden out against Paul Ryan. And he eviscerated him.
And everywhere.
The poll showed that Americans were not opposed to attacks. And that was why the second debate Obama went full blast.
Full blast, yes.
Against Romney.
So maybe
we
we'll
say he won.
So we're going to probably see an attacking Biden in the next debate, most likely.
Joe Biden, referred by his father as Joey.
Joey, yes.
Joe from Scranton said he's used to being knocked down.
And
but
rising.
every time you knock him down, he gets up.
Yes.
So we're likely to see
him
a resurgent Joe Biden.
He said those things. It will be nice to hear the way he puts his words. I saw those energies that we didn't see on the podium.
He said, look,
you know,
I am an old man, as you know.
And I agree.
I'm no longer as fast as I used to walk.
Yes.
I'm no longer as good
in debates
as I used to be. But I know one thing.
I know
tell the truth.
And I know how to govern.
I know how to govern. I know the difference between what is wrong and what is right. Unlike the other guy.
All right. Let's listen to the sound by the exchange, and then we'll also listen to President Joe Biden, who is saying that, look, I'm going to win these elections. I know what I'm doing. Yes, I have my own challenges.
If you listen to people so far, I've seen a lot of people on CNN who said, look, I know he didn't do well, but I know his heart. And I think he's a fighter for the common people.
Van Jones, he was so emotional. He said it's a sad day for the Democrats, blah, blah. And all of the panelists.
Do you recall that in 2016 when Trump won, he acted the same way? In fact, at a point, he described the victory of Trump as a whitewash. No, a white lash.
Yes.
So this was not an election.
A bad day for American history, you know.
Exactly. So it's very emotional. You're going to see all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Obama, who knows what it means to be beaten in the debate, and who knows what it means to be lynched by pundits,
came back strong and
came out and said, look, I know Joe. I know how hard it is to debate. I'll be there. But I tell you, Joe is going to stand.
Kamala Harris was also, the vice president was also interviewed, and she said that, look,
90 minutes is not enough to judge the president.
And that is actually spoke to the issues rather than go all out attack and lie through. But again, I'm just saying that, look,
politics is a blood sport in America. And there are extremists who want to see blood on the floor every time there's a contest.
Okay, we'll wait to see whether the blood will come, quote unquote. It's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming the show live on Facebook. You can drop your comments and contributions. Let's quickly take the sound bites of the exchange during the debate, and then what Joe Biden, the president, had to say at the campaign ground after the debate as to, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to win these elections. Political Roundtable.
Yesterday.
Yes, Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We'll be right back.
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed.
We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life. The Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important.
The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade. He encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. The idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. Having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant, I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them. both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it.
Will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely.
I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country.
Presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact.
State the obvious. I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smooth as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know like millions of Americans know.
Well, very interesting, really. You know, the beauty of democracy, really. And of course, I think they have to set the standards, really. You know, early debates, the back and forth, talk on issues. Yeah, a bit of, you know.
I find some positive in what happened to Biden.
To Joe Biden, yes.
Maybe because as the incumbent president, he probably felt that he had the grounds covered more than the challenger.
So you see, so he didn't go with too much, you know.
You know, there's some, and this happened at the right time because you have 4 months to the election.
You can always pick up. Yeah.
Don't forget that the setting for this election, for this debate, for the 2 candidates were different. For Trump, he needed to make this about the referendum on Biden's record.
He didn't do that. He was just...
And that's why I'm saying that he also didn't do better.
Of course, yes. He was now, on both sides, poor performance.
Meanwhile, Biden also needed to make it a choice election. To say, look at me and this guy. Who do you think will do a better job for you? To some extent, Biden succeeded. And don't forget that as an incumbent, there's a disease called incumbentitis.
Yeah, we are going to struggle against... It's a referendum on your performance.
On your performance.
Yeah.
Now, you expect that Trump will come out saying, oh, this is this and that and that and that and that and all that. But where he really hit Biden was when he was talking about Afghanistan. The disorderly engagement, exit from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I thought he landed some solid points
there, very strong points.
But when it came to the other issues, he was just blabbering, just like. But again, people don't understand how difficult it is to debate someone like Trump, because you don't even know the version of Trump
you're going to meet.
So Biden prepared for the bombastic,
and it was
Trump
as against all expectations. Trump was well behaved, better behaved than what we used to see him do on the podium.
He couldn't help himself with the language he was using. He talked about this guy, you know, this man here.
Yeah.
These are stupid people. Our country is stupid. They don't respect us anymore. And those are the things people will be watching.
But Sir 3 times the moderators asked Donald Trump,
are you going to accept
the verdict of the results?
He deflected.
He kept 3 times.
When he was also asked about the January 6th, he said, you know what happened on January 6th? He deflected.
He said it was about the speaker that was supposed to bring in, you know, the National Guard. They failed in protecting the place and all of that.
And that is why some felt that Biden didn't take advantage of the situation. Because Biden ought to have said to him, Mr. President, as the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces, it was your responsibility to deploy
and protect that place.
This is, look, Mr. President, as president, you directed the mob that almost killed your vice president, and you sat there, you did nothing. He said so, but not in a forceful manner
yes,
that people expected him to say. And this is why I say, look, his problem is more of optics and not substance. On the substance, he delivered. He needed to appear presidential. And he didn't want to fall into the trap that Trump was
going into a mud fight.
Yeah, because he didn't know the version that was he going to be the bombastic Trump. And of course, like you said, we had a Trump that was a bit composed, a bit measured, but then he couldn't help himself when he was speaking.
All right. Well, I'm sure more debates are coming. There's the presidential debate committee, that, of course. So we're going to have several rounds of debate. I think
It's supposed to be
from around
today.
September. Yeah. Okay.
They're supposed to have 3 debates. So one is gone, remaining 2.
2. Yes.
Now, the remaining 2 debates will focus on foreign policies, and then I think, okay, the third one
Yes.
is where ordinary Americans are given the opportunity
To ask questions.
you know, and then the candidates will provide answer and talk to the American people directly. Now, having said that, I think most people must understand that every U.S. election, apart from the one between Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter, okay, every U.S. election in the last 20 years has been very close. So you have the polls showing 49, 40 something, and all that.
Just little margin.
And unlike Nigeria, what you have in the United States are 50 elections, not one election, because states have different rules that
And how to
governs
conduct the elections,
the conduct of the election. It's not in every state in America that once you win all the votes. There are states where the votes can be divided depending on what figure a candidate wins. So, but for the United States, there are solid blue states
that is expected to go blue no matter what happens. Yeah.
And there are also solid red states
that will go red. But the swing states.
Then there are swing states, the purple states
that can go red or blue.
They have elected Republicans, they have elected Democrats.
So what are the swing states? What are the polls saying from the swing states here?
The swing states are Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, that used to be a solid red state, and that's why Biden was in Raleigh, North Carolina.
So those states are now purple. They could swing it that way.
They could swing Michigan and Wisconsin.
But what are the polls saying about the swing states now? Is it still open?
Well, most of the swing states, Trump is leading by 2 or 3 points. Now, don't forget that in 2016, Trump won Michigan by 10,000 votes. In 2020, Biden won by 20,000 votes. Trump also won Wisconsin with less than 10,000 votes. And Biden won close up with about 14,000 or thereabout votes. So these are close races. Now, you go to places like Pennsylvania, right? Right now, you have a governor that is a Democrat, all right? And you have senators that are also Democrats. It's going to be a tough race. It's a rush bet state, but it's going to be a tough race. Georgia, of course, the polls are suggesting that Trump is ahead.
In Georgia.
Don't forget
where he lost the last
in 2020.
Time. And he lost in Georgia, yeah.
Arizona, of course, is going to be a tough battle. You have a governor who is a Democrat there now, you know, and then you have people like Lake, who lost to that governor and who is a senatorial candidate. So it's going to be with the widow of John McCain, Cindy McCain, campaigning for Biden.
Joe Biden, yeah.
It's going to be a tough race. Big vote for Robert Kennedy. Now, as we go towards the election, don't forget that there's something called October surprise.
Yeah.
We don't know what that will be for the candidates.
For the 2 candidates.
But what we do know is that last debate, 81% of voters in America said it did not move the needle with them. In other words, it didn't change their mind.
Because both of them really didn't speak to the issues majorly.
So what is then left is what we're talking about, 81 now, 19%. Of the 19%, the Green Party, we have their voters. Robert Kennedy, we have his own voters. So that's why we say, look, undecided voters are so small. If you look at the results from the focus group that was conducted in different parts of America, the debate didn't swing anything with them. Many of them are still saying, we'll still watch and see.
But when an incumbent goes with that margin or a poor margin, really, because again, you have Trump in most of the polls, yes, maybe marginal, still ahead. It's trouble for the incumbent.
No, but I do agree with you, but this is something you must also understand. The situation in America right now is so toxic that even people who support Biden within certain communities cannot speak out.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be marked.
Okay.
Just like Trump consultant said in 2016 that there are hidden Trump voters who couldn't come out to identify with Trump because of the things he was saying at that time. There are also people now in communities, in churches. For instance, I hope you know that the evangelicals in America
Already.
no, they are for Trump. They have labeled Trump God's candidate and Biden Satan's candidate. But of course, among the two men, only Biden goes to church. Trump doesn't even go to church.
His behavior does not even.
But that's not surprising because in 1980, Ronald Reagan, a film actor who's not a Christian, got the backing of evangelicals against Jimmy Carter, a pastor.
Is it because he's a Republican, basically? The evangelicals just vote for a Republican irrespective of whether he goes to church or not?
I think what has happened is that over the years, they have marinated racism through religion.
So it's a culture. It's almost like a culture.
One of the most important issues for Republicans in this election is immigration,
which Trump continues to arm. They are pouring in. They are pouring in.
From the cultural anxiety
that has been created
of the white people, that they are becoming a minority in their
own country.
And I'm not saying they don't have the right to be anxious. I mean, it's like having a group of other Africans coming to Nigeria to take over Nigeria, and then we become minority in our country.
We did Garamons go at some point.
Exactly. So the point I'm making is that look, most of them that are talking. Okay, look at in the course of that debate, Trump was asked a question on abortion.
Yes.
Don't forget that Trump had boasted that he put Justice Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Barrett Cornett, 3 conservative justices on the Supreme Court
yes,
that helped overturn Roe v. Wade. And he said that was what he promised American people that he did. But because the polls are suggesting that that is a liability
for him,
party, he moved from the extreme right to the middle.
He said he allows, for categories of people for abortion. It's not no.
And do you know what?
Yes.
Do you know how the pastors or the evangelicals
Receive
are justifying that?
They
are saying no. He needs to say what he needs to say to be elected.
Oh,
we know his heart.
Political correctness.
Yes. Look at what happened in Georgia between Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock is a pastor. He was a pastor of Martin Luther King's church, and Walker Herschel, who ran against Warnock, right? Had issue with his wife. He had threatened to kill the wife and children. He had children out of wedlock. But you know what they said? They said God doesn't need perfect vessel to bring transformation.
So the evangelicals know how to shield the goalpost.
Yes.
All right. It's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. Interesting times ahead, as far as the U.S. elections is concerned. A lot will still happen, like you said. October, things happen. The polls can begin to adjust.
Biden is a lucky man.
Okay.
If this had happened 1 month to the election,
no, it would have been a complete disaster. For what again, it can always.
And by the way, I hope you have seen the polls. For those who are insisting that Biden needs to be bumped off the ticket.
Yes.
You've seen the poll.
Yeah.
No one so far in the Democratic Party today. Not Gavin Newsom, governor of California, not Kamala Harris, the vice president, not Pete Buttigieg.
The hierarchy of the party seems to be with him, really. So
yes, nobody.
But CNN consistently reports that Democrats are worried.
The biggest voice I said, look, these guys are jealous. Democrats. The biggest voice in the Democratic Party today is Barack Obama, the most popular Democrat alive.
Of course, yes.
He's backing Joe. The next person is Howard Dean, the former chairman of the party from Vermont.
But the hierarchy.
He also spoke yesterday.
Do you think the hierarchy at that level is more important than the ordinary Democrats, the members of the party, who are going to do a lot of the footwork? Bring out the votes.
Let me tell you what's happening. Is the framing of the issue.
Okay.
By the hierarchy. In fact, there has been this story, the conspiracy story, about some high-ranking Democrats who didn't want Biden on the ticket. That they were the one who pushed Biden into calling for the earliest debate.
Debate, yes.
So that they can assess his fitness and decide whether he will be the candidate or not.
So they set him up.
Yes, that's what they are saying. But you see, what I will tell you is this: you can have a very bad or poor debate and still turn things around.
Of course, we've seen
if you are
them
able to address the anxiety, the
going forward,
of the people, and they know Biden's heart. And I'm not saying he will win, but what I'm saying is that this 90 minutes debate
cannot
is not
be the
enough
decider
to define
What will happen?
What will happen in the election?
All right, we'll wait to see. 90 minutes can never be enough, really.
Because even if you look at the editorials by the New York Times
yeah.
and others, they are saying that Trump is not even worthy to be president.
Of course, yes.
And that Biden will make it a sacrifice if he stays off the ticket for a younger person to come and defeat Trump. That's the argument, you know. But now we have some members of the editorial board of New York Times coming out to say, no, that's not their entire position. They are saying that if Biden...
In fact, what they said is that the editorial is different from the paper.
From the paper. Yes, so we can see.
What they did was to quickly
People are just talking about their preferences.
Yes.
You know, the truth is that more than 55% of Americans, entire Americans,
Yes.
don't support Trump or Biden. They think they are too old, that they should give way to younger candidates.
Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. Let's quickly take the last issue on the table before we open the phone lines. It's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We see your comments and contributions already dropping on our Facebook platform. You can keep doing that, while we quickly touch on the last issue on the menu this evening. Barrister Curtis Adiba, Senator Shehu Sonny is saying that, look, some northern elements are already putting issues together. Issues that would work against the interest or the ambition of the president for a second time in 2027. He has highlighted some of the issues. He's also named some people. One of them, he said, is, look, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He's talked about Malam Nasir El-Rufai, Senator Rabiu Kwankwanso, and some northern leaders. And what he's saying is that they're already putting things together. They're already, putting some issues together. One of them, he said, is, look, the relocation of the CBN, some parts of the CBN, some departments of the CBN to Lagos, the issue of the fan, and some other policies of the government.
Lopsided appointment.
And so that the narrative they are already bringing to the table in the North is that, look, this is a man that has betrayed us. He has betrayed the North. We, the northern governors, stood by him to get power, but as it is, he has already betrayed us. And that, look, we are already seeing some form of convergence. Again, we've seen movements by Curtis Adigba. We've seen and so those issues. But he also says we are ganging up against the president South, and then after that, the North can have it back after 8 years. So that's coming from the very popular vocal Senator Shehu Sonny. What do you make of what he's saying?
The town crier of the North. That's the title I gave to him. I think that it doesn't come to me as a surprise that politicians are playing politics. If you understand that politics is a game of interest.
Interest, yes.
And of course, the North did not support Tinubu, not expecting anything from Tinubu. They supported Tinubu to be president
because there are expectations.
They expect that he will be their defender and their champion. And right now, they are feeling abandoned by him. They feel that most of the policies...
When you say the North now...
Yes. When you
say the political establishment or the ordinary people in the North?
The North itself as a location or region
is
made up of 19 states. The North Central, the North
West,
East,
the Northeast,
and the Northwest. Now, they have 19 states. They have political elites. The governors meet, all right? Whether they are PDP or APC, they have a forum where they meet and discuss the interests of the North. Now, the key leaders in this part of the North, don't forget that there are also a group of leaders who are supporting the president, who are in his cabinet.
Of course, yes.
And there are
people like Matawale and what have you.
Yes, there are those like Badru.
Yeah.
There are those he's promoting
the younger elements
to take over from these guys.
From the old order.
Who may have the intention of fighting him. Now, but having said that, you understand that the North, of course, will always have its interests. The North wants to occupy a prominent position in the affairs of this country. And they are feeling betrayed. They are looking at the situation and say, look, the policies that he has introduced has hit our people more. Okay? Everything that they promise us, they complain about the appointment, they complain about the movement of this and that. But this is all politics. This is again politics. But I think what is most important here is that feeling that the things he promised us is not doing them.
Okay.
But let me tell you something. I, in the position of the president, will not worry about what is going on in the North.
The leadership, this so-called political
and
leaders.
I'll tell you why I will not worry.
Okay.
The only reason why I will not worry is because I will have the support of the people firmly behind me.
So you should walk to.
The only reason why President Tinubu will worry for 2027 is that the people of this country today do not feel that he cares about them.
He's working for them.
Yes, they are feeling abandoned. In fact, most people think that he's a wicked person who had just come to punish them.
So you should pay more attention to that.
All he needs to do is to win the people of Nigeria, including those ordinary citizens in the northern part of the country. He should focus on the people. The fact is that right now his government has misplaced priorities. They are focusing on the things that don't usually. All you hear are just grammar. Oh, be patient. We are doing so much.
Headliners, sound bites, promises. Yeah.
But they are not patient. Patience is not in their book. When they want a new aircraft, they will get it. They want new renovated houses, they get it. They want SUV, they get it. They have not cut costs. They have not changed anything to let the people know that what we are doing, we are also playing a part in it, and then for the betterment of everybody in the future. So that's why it's difficult for us to relate. If President Tinubu can get Nigerians behind him, 1,000 El-Rufai, 1,000 Atiku
will not stop him.
They can't stop him.
If he gets the people behind him.
If he gets the people behind him. So he shouldn't worry
about what those leaders are cooking.
He should worry more about how he's perceived
by the people.
By the people. Because everything he promised, he has fulfilled in default.
How do you fulfill promises in default?
by not fulfilling it. By not fulfilling it.
I wonder, you fulfill promise in default.
Yes, you said.
That means you didn't fulfill any promise.
Let the poor breathe.
They are not breathing.
Remove your knees from their necks.
The knees are heavy on them.
The only knee that I feel is Tinubu's knee on my neck as I sit here.
Do you feel it?
I can't pay for electricity. I'm struggling. They put me in bandit A or what they call it without me asking for it. And I don't. I go to the filling station today now with half tank on my way here.
Everybody looks at their fuel gauge, except maybe the politicians.
With half tank because I can't afford to wait
to fill
until it's finished. I have the ATM this thing here, which from half tank, they filled my fuel. It was 35,000. Half tank because I've adjusted to 615 now.
Yeah, that's what we face.
And I'm looking at myself and using myself as an example. My source of income has not increased. I am not in government. I am on the street struggling.
But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, recent meetings with the governors. Again, there's a 1 trillion naira on the table now for sharing. Palliatives are coming. I said sharing.
Only party members and friends of those people in government
will get those palliatives.
We get it.
Because again, the CNG buses are still being promised, and a whole lot of goodies.
What are the CNG buses needed for? Even to source the gas will be a problem. The world is moving away from
CNG to electric vehicles.
Electric vehicles.
But that's the promise.
Even now, Elon Musk has come out to say, "I'm moving away from electricity to
hydrogen." That's
and we are talking about CNG.
So, but again, that's on the table. And he has also told the governor, I think he gave them 7 days to go and work out a plan in their different states on how to ensure food security, agriculture. Say, look, you go back and come up with how I'm going to support you in your different states to ensure food security. Don't you think?
That again is begging the issue. Mr. President knows that the biggest issue with food security in this country is security of the country. The farmers can't go to their farms. And he's in charge of the security.
Maybe part of the template that will be brought from the states will include how to secure those farms.
So he doesn't know already? He said part of his campaign. So he knew insecurity in the country was a big issue. He promised to tackle insecurity. And he's already telling us that he secured the country better than the former government. Already he's saying that. So he knows
the numbers don't say that. Again, suicide bombers. If it's about insecurity in the country, I think the figures are not looking good.
Anybody who is close to the president is listening to me. Tell him not to worry about El-Rufai, Atiku, Kwakwanso,
and others.
These were all people who contested against him. Some of them worked for him to win the election. If Mr. President has the backing of the Nigerian people, and he can only get their backing when they feel that he's fighting for them.
They feel it in their living standard.
No group of people will gang up against him and succeed. In Lagos here, let me remind you, Mr. President, when we heard the rumor that Fasola was not going to get a second term.
The people stood for him.
Because we knew what he had done and we felt he had done a good job. We stood firmly. You got that information and change your position. Work for the Nigerian people. They are the ones who put you there.
In clear terms, how should he work for the people? How can he work for the people?
So he should work to reduce the burden, the economic burden on the people right now. So many Nigerians are not sure of their next meal.
The next meal.
They can't afford electricity. They can't pay their children's school fees. They have no roof over their heads. They can't pay their rent. We're talking of kitchen and table affairs now. These are the cost of food is so high. How much now is a mudu of gari? How much was it when he came to power? What is the purchasing power of the people now? What is the exchange rate now? He was the one who floated the dollars and removed the subsidy at the same time. So is this, this kind of too many reforms within a short period of time,
choking the people,
that is choking the people. And he was the one who said, let the people breathe. But we are not breathing.
Time issues here, the factor of time in all of this. There are, Professor Wole Soyinka deflected on the 1 year timeline for him to review the performance of the president.
That's a quarter of his term. And you know that the 4-year term is not used for governance.
2 years.
Because from the 2.5 years, you start talking about re-election.
Of course.
That's what we call short-termism in democracy.
So he really doesn't have the time to do that.
He doesn't have. So look, in fact, his best performances are expected in the first year.
Which has been very poor.
We've always talked about first 100 days in office.
He didn't do that.
Government showcase. But he said it didn't mean anything, that Nigerians were going to see what he's capable of doing. Okay? I want to say to him, frankly, I'm not looking for a job. I am not against him. I don't hate him. In fact, I want him to be the best president this country has ever produced.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, his success is my success. Definitely. And your success, his failure is our failure. Mr. President, connect to the people directly. Forget about consultants. Forget about hangers.
The political jobbers around him.
Forget about these people who are telling you
the praise singers. Yeah.
The streets are not smiling. People are suffering. And that is the mandate you have. Go around these people, go around the bureaucracy, and make sure that you reach the people directly. And if you do that, forget about all these politicians.
All right, it's time to open the phone lines. I think it's been a very, very robust conversation from Kenya to the United Kingdom to the debates in the United States of America, and of course narrowing it down to the politics of Nigeria, the domestic politics, with what Senator Shehu Sani is saying.
I just got a text message now.
That
this is what he said. He said, I am also at the filling station trying to get some fuel for my tank. Mr. President is fulfilling all the promises he made to himself and his group, and not other Nigeria.
So Mr. President, I think the consensus here on the table is that, look, connect more with the people. Fulfill your promise to them, better their lives, and no matter the gang up.
He said, I want him to worry about my vote. Because I voted for him the last time, but this time I'm not going to vote for him again.
The president can work to change the mind of this person that sent in the text.
Exactly.
Yeah. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM, 091-3600-410. 091-3600-410. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming the show live on Facebook, so you can drop your comments and contributions on that platform. We're also streaming the show on YouTube, so you can also be a part of the show. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Femi Jegede.
Oh, Mr. Femi. Nice to hear your voice. I'm good, yes.
I changed my mind because I know now that you have seen the fact, and the fact are your hands there.
I've always done my job the best way. I think I should do it.
Don't let us go there.
Let's just have the issue. Yeah.
Barrister, thanks very much for your insight.
Thank you, sir.
My prayer for you has been that the Lord God will guide you.
Thank
As
you.
regards the US, UK, I'm not interested. But what I'm going to discuss about is about this last issue about the state of the nation. I must put it to you, sir, as a legal luminary, you must agree, between the lines that the country is not managed, just like you said. But I'm saying for this national, who is the president of this country, to think back and look at the way things were before he got there. I am not an economist, but I know that if you compare the last 365 days of Buhari to 6 days of his days here, I know the percentage is about 90% negativity. Format in every application of this country. I just want to align with your word. Let him just work for the masses and not the jobbers who are surrounding him and telling him lies. Because when the chips are down, I hope he won't be a one-time president. Good evening, there.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Femi Jegede. 091304110 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Mr. Swat.
Good evening.
Mr. Topic. This is the first time I'm agree with you 100%.
Ambassador Musa
from America, Britain, or whatever. This is Ambassador Musa from Mission.
Okay.
You know, and a letter from America. You know, Joe Biden. He changed many people thinking, including Mr. Fuad, about Biden. Even Mr. Fuad agree with me. You know, in Nigeria, people talk about, Biden, do this, do that. You could be changed, you could be replaced. You know, now, I call my brother who are in America, in Atlanta, Georgia. He told me that those who are going to vote for Democrats, they can never change their mind. Those who are voting for Donald Trump, stand by him 100%, no matter what. You know, the difference is not to 3 million. Sure, but that is that. Americans, they know how to do their thing. I know, but let them come back home here. You know, you talk about Mr. President. Look, I know Mr. President for one thing. Despite that, I support it. But to me, I know that in one politics, in no politics that those people are gathered themselves. But my point is that my disappointment would be that if he did not fulfill his promise, if Nigerians do not benefit, because so much expectation that what we are feeling right now, I knew the time is still there for him to make a change. It is about the people. The hardship is too much. Mr. President, we cannot support you, but the hardship is not what we expected. Please, you need to do something for this political class. Who are there with you? So I don't understand what is going on, but I think Mr. President does. Please, do the needful now. The people are waiting to hear, listen, benefiting from your promises. And it's not about Kenya, getting drop class. You see, so we protest, rioting. Some people, apart from you are protesting, what you have in your mind to make a positive change. But there are some people out there who are ready to benefit from your struggle. They are there watching. But to go ahead, but for their benefit, they are more powerful than you. So please, you are protesting. Think twice not to put the country on fire. That's my talk.
All right, thank you, Ambassador Musbah from Mushi. 09136 000.
Hello, good evening, Ramford.
Yeah, good evening.
My name is Stefan calling from Kitchen.
All right, go on, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to Barrister, sir.
Good evening.
The Barrister have already finished everything. The main gang up against Tinubu I'm seeing here is Nigeria. Not even only enough. The gang up here now is Nigerian. No amount of politicians without the case that can work, but Nigerian people. And I not even looking that side. Instead of for him to look at Nigeria, he's looking at those people that are gagging against him. It's going to be very difficult for him. Very simple thing.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sulaiman. All right. 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Squad.
Good evening.
Look, my name is Ted. I'm calling from Lagos.
Go on, sir.
Please, the voice in the studio there with you, he has said it all. But the place where he gets it wrong is where he said that Tinubu should look at the Nigerian people and see what he's going to do. Let me tell you, Mr. Kwat, the voice in the studio, he should know one thing, that somebody cannot give what you don't have. Do you understand me now?
I'm with you.
That thing that he's telling Tinubu, if he's telling Tinubu cannot do it, and in as much as somebody cannot do what he does, he cannot do magic. Do you understand me? So whatever he is going to do now, in order to make sure that maybe we convince the people of Nigeria, is going to be like I think it's propagandic. Understand me? So people of Nigeria have known that even at the 9 minutes, you know, for the APC, for him to APC, and we have seen the worst of them.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Tony is going to win my local government.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Wise. Yes, good evening.
Right, good evening to you as well.
Good evening.
Thank you. You see, number one, the problem we are facing today is in Nigeria. America, if they do change their government, it means that still something that's not done very well. That's why actually no government between the Democrats and the Republicans. So now, come back to Nigeria. The decision taken by Mr. President. If we do this, what they call it, I don't know how to put this up. The way we are in this country, we know where our problem lie. The movement of subsidy, floating of naira, that is the problem we are facing. But how many go hard the lion has to take this hard decision? That's what I'm trying to say now. Right from Babangida up to today, we take that decision. When we do have refinery in this country, we are importing fuel to this country, and those importers, they are so corrupt to the extent when they bring fuel to the country, they sell it to another country. And here in Nigeria, the money is going to use to develop the company. We are taking it over 3 people. So this is not taken by Mr. President. We know it's very, very painful. But if they spend the money, realize from this something to move, it will be better for the country. That is what
what have they done with the money so far? They've been sharing. They've been sharing trillions every month.
President has led the governor now. If you talk about that, the governor has a stake. We know we have a problem of insecurity. We should go direct to the right channel. Before go to the president, we have to speak for family staff, the officers. That's what I always say. When you have a meeting with the
commander-in-chief of the armed forces, he appointed all those people.
Let me see my goal.
All right,
what I'm trying to say is this. Those people are the one from how to either we appeal to them, either we talk to them. The military are trying. They're those people that is terrorizing the country. The state governor has to say, that don't have to say, you don't have to say about it. And please, I want to
round up, please. Yeah. Oh, well, that was not from all Prince Wise. I think the line just went off. But I think we've really got in the most part of what he wanted to really say. Let's just take the messages we have on Facebook and then we return to taking phone calls. We have Kenny Busuyu Omoyelu saying that he's listening. Thank you. Shehu Olota is saying the sad tale is that the Kenyan riot or protest has degenerated into destroying public facilities and looting shops. I feel for the owners of those shops. The visually impaired senator is very eloquent. I hope Nigerian leaders and lawmakers are adjusting their sets. I think we have to say that really. That senator from Kenya, the visually impaired senator, was able to put her thoughts together. The eloquence for me is something to admire. Thank you so much, Shehu Olota, for the message. Jonah Okoji saying, well done. We have Benson Richie who's saying, good evening, my great wise men in the studio. Nigeria is getting worse every day under Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Every day, stories upon stories. Benson Richie, especially since APC got to power in 2015, our goods and services is getting worse. You can't eat well again. I fear APC government. Oh, all right. We have OC Morale, who is just saluting our morale. It's some ginger from Ikeja Cantonment. We have Oluwatoyin Oyeyemi who is asking after Joseph Onoso. Well, he's very good. He's going to be on the show, I'm sure, next week. We have Babatunde Ajewole who is saying, I'm enjoying your program. Thank you so much. Tochukwu T. Adele is saying, the problem is the fear of what damage violent protests can result to. The fear in Africa has become a good power political capital for African politicians and leaders. Look, except protests are narrated as an impromptu and spontaneous phenomenon that has a last resort carried out by the people to condition leadership to assure their living standards against the denial of deprivation of same by the leaders. Nothing tangible will change of these inanities. Kenya is an example to all. Look, Nigeria keep defining protests before carrying them out. Protests are impromptu and spontaneous. Very long message. Well, it's a recommendation. There's no such thing as peaceful protest. The media should help to change the narrative so as to possibly provoke the people to addressing the assault to their sensibilities or continue to complain. That's Tochukwu Adele Thompson from Obaniko.
What we have even found is even when protests are peaceful, the security agents don't into violence because they go and attack the peaceful protesters.
Like we're seeing in Kenya.
The guy said that they had no permit to protest
in the streets.
Yes.
But the people, it's a spontaneous thing, I think. It's just a response.
It's got to come from, look, this is a democratic right. Like the Chief Justice of Kenya said, and the former president said, the people have the right to protest. You, the president, you protested before.
Severally. It's been on protest ground severally. Well, we have John Bernard Oyi saying, good evening, Fuad. My concern is you can see that the debates from both US and UK have shown the quality of all the candidates. I think we need to make it compulsory here in Nigeria so that we can see the quality of our presidential candidates.
They will come and they will win. Because look at Nigeria. All the candidates that dodged the debates won.
Have been winning.
Have been winning. Go and look at it.
In the history of our politics.
So they'll tell you it's a waste of time.
Because you don't debate, you win. That's the story of Nigeria. Well, we have a factory, sir. Ovolabi, we say, what can Nigeria do to force out our leaders to listen to us? Okay, to force our leaders to listen to us as they did in Kenya. Well, we have a Piagolo, Isaac Ekube, who is saying, good evening, Oga Said and Barrister. The youth of Kenya know what to do, unlike here in Nigeria, where the government will be giving us all kinds of negative policies, and where the people will be looking the other way. We have Afis Adebayo, who is saying, nice job, Oga Fuad and his crew. Thank you so much. We have Luis Miguel Ismail saying, good evening, great men in the studio. Honestly speaking, Barrister, you have spoken well, but our problem in this country is if you have given opportunity as president of this country, will you be honest to Nigeria as you speak?
Well, try me and see.
Well, you're not.
I have done some things in life. I'm not just dropping from the moon.
You've been around for some time.
I'll tell you who I am.
Okay, we have that we saying, good evening, crew. You can see all that transpired in Kenya where the people protested and the government reversed its anti-people policies. There was no counter-protest, even though the police killed some people. The president apologized. Still, the people are still protesting for his removal, which he might still do. Unlike we have it here, if you protest the government and its musketeers will sell counter-protest using agberos and police to organize it.
It would have even turned a religious and tribal issue now.
Remember NSAS protests where people were massacred and people are still in jail. Well, the government has denied that there's nobody that has been held in jail.
Breaking news from Kenya.
Kenya, yes.
The president has announced that he's willing to cut salaries of public officials, starting with himself.
Would that be enough to douse the tension and drop the anger of the people?
Well, I mean,
at least he's doing something.
He's talking.
He's still doing something.
He's doing different things to assuage the people.
Yeah.
To see that, look, I care more about
and
you.
I'm listening to you.
And I'm listening to you.
Okay, we wait to see.
But you know, in Africans, leaders think that they know it all.
No. The people of Kenya are teaching their own leaders some lessons here. Okay, we have Ifyok Johnny. We're saying, good evening, Alaji Fuad and your colleague in the studio. I'm watching you guys live and direct on Facebook here. Well done. Really enjoy and appreciate your program. Keep it up. God bless you. God bless Mainland FM. Thank you, and we say amen to that. We have Dami Go. We say, good evening, Mr. Fuad and Barrister Adigba. You guys are wonderful. Honestly, I consider Kenya leaders to be somehow human and considerate, but right here, honestly, I can't say. A lot of talk and discussion which produces nothing, just as we are flogging a dead horse. Nigerians, especially the youth, need to wake up and ready to go extra mile to take back the country from all these unrepentant conquerors. It might be very hard and deadly, but we mustn't give up. God will help us. Damiola from Alaba. We have John Esonwi saying, good evening all. A lot of Nigerians watch the US presidential debate with great enthusiasm, where the incumbent is debating against the opponent. They all honor the invitation without any flimsy excuses. Please sensitize the populace, most especially the National Assembly, to make presidential debate mandatory.
Trump don't like CNN.
But he went there.
And he could have given that as an excuse.
But he had to go.
He had to go.
And to a great extent, he behaved himself with the moderators, you know. So
here they say, so it's a booby trap. They said for our candidate.
We will not go there. I remember all of those excuses in the last elections. Well, John Esson is saying that we should see National Assembly to make presidential debate mandatory if Nigeria is to elect the best candidate, not mediocre. That's Professor Mike from Germany. Abdurafiu Alabalakpe is saying, well done, guys. Specifically, great job to you, Mr. Barrister Curtis Adigba. You are indeed a great researcher when it comes to international politics. However, Comrade and Alaji Fuad, I wish President Tinubu could listen to the show today. I have suggested long ago that President Tinubu should always tune in his radio to local stations like Mainland FM and other internal radios.
Alaba is his friend. I should tell him now.
Well, the show is on Facebook. You can copy the link and send it to your political leaders to share with him. Solution to the problems on ground are coming from INA, and he should also listen to the likes of Gajabi Amila, Wale Edu and others on the economy. Foodstuffs still very high. God bless you. That's from Alabalape, from Sabo Oniba. All right. Let's take this last message and we'll go back to taking phone calls. Sunday Noah is saying, good evening, Mr. Fuad and your guest. Mr. President, performance on the security and economics aspect of Nigeria at the moment is not good enough. The antagonists and other people across Nigeria will be happy to vote for him again unless there's a radical change on the president's sufferings is not a matter of some political exposed individuals complaining, but a broad spectrum of the society are not happy with the government in power. Electoral reforms is important before 2027. All Nigerians will decide who they want. Okay, let's go back to taking phone calls. 09136000410 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Oh, I greet everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah. This is Ufoma from Agodo.
Please go on, Ufoma.
Yes, I want to appreciate the barrister. You know, I tuned in late. I could just be saying to just do on the USA election more than Nigeria.
You can rewatch it on Facebook. The link
because we did not have leader, and I was just listening to say that you bought petrol, even though food will go gas for us. To buy food now is not even friendly.
Oh, we lost that call. Sorry about that. Let me quickly squeeze in. Okay. Hello, good evening. Okay, let's just quickly send this some of these messages. We have Oluwafe, who is saying Barrister Curtis was quick to give excuse for Joe Biden's poor performance during the debate, which I know he will not hold the same view if it was Tinubu.
No, I didn't. I said it performed poorly, but it dealt with the issues.
Yeah, if Aso Rock and co-elites not can't stop Tinubu from becoming president, it will be difficult to stop him as president. Tinubu is a real politician that know how to play his game. The same El-Rufai that said he would teach Lagos how to defeat Godfather, but later led the Godfather to win the presidency. Well, wait to see how that goes. We have Sean Johnson, who is in Fuad, and Honorable Barrister said it all. But the issue is that the people do not trust the presidency. What they believe is that if the president gives with one hand, they will use taxes to collect from the other. Trust is the main issue. I think he's talking about the situation in Kenya. And then Prince Michael Ali saying, good job. Biden got the world close to the nuclear disaster with Russia. What are the radio of North and South appointments? Buhari, Tinubu. Well, I really don't understand that. But let's just...
Biden didn't get the world close to third world.
The Third World War.
Biden is trying to prevent a third war by not allowing Vladimir Putin to reestablish the old Soviet Union. And he's doing that with NATO. Now, the argument that if Trump was president,
no, he said it on the debate.
Russia, Ukraine would not have happened.
Putin would not have invaded any country.
Because they are friends.
But
and you know why? Because the world believes that Putin helped him to power.
Yeah.
And now, because you see, Trump essentially was doing Putin's building because all he wanted to do was to dismember NATO by saying to the NATO members, if you don't pay for your defense, the United States will not stand behind you. That defeats Article 5 that says an attack on one
is attack on all.
This is a transatlantic partnership for security. And
America, Trump wants to tear it apart.
Yes, and America has led the world. So that's the difference. So by saying if he was president, this would not have happened.
Maybe not.
Of course.
All right, 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Godfather, this is Malam Salam.
Oh, Malam Salam. Nice to have you.
How are you doing, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I've been trying to.
All right, please go on, sir.
Godfather.
Yes.
You see, this president, we will teach him political lesson in 2027. Inshallah.
We will teach him in the north.
Yes.
Is it geometry or chemistry?
In anyone you use.
What do you mean, Malam Salah? What do you mean?
What I mean is this. Life is a life of opportunity. This president will know his president right from beginning. All his life he was fighting not. You understand? But we have a spirit of forgiveness in the northern part of Nigeria when it comes to politics. He has been fighting military. If you look at the military, who is he fighting? The military is fighting. They are all northerners. Isn't it? Now he came, all his policies and his body language is strictly against the northern part of Nigeria. Now, you know what we will do? The power will remain in South. This unconstitutional arrangement. It will remain in South.
Okay.
But we will scatter we will split the Southern vote to make them just valueless. We will restrict him to the Southwest. Peter Obi will remain in the Southeast. And we will pick our presidential candidate in the South. What of if tomorrow the Northern leaders decided that Jonathan has conceived the seat, hand over power to the northern part of the Northern?
He should just finish his second term.
You understand? And he have only one time to finish. Why can't we bring it? Yes, sir.
Mama Peace said she doesn't want to go back to
She will go, but she will go.
Forget that one.
Who know what better thing?
You know now. You understand?
She's looking
She will go.
She will go. If you don't do the husband thing long now, you think another one.
She doesn't go. Sandra will represent her.
Did she want to leave in the first place?
On her behalf.
So, Madam Salah, just complete your thoughts because of time. Yeah.
This is a political mathematics. You understand? He started very early. You know, last time I told you clearly that this man, they call him a master strategist, but he don't know how to play politics. And you understand? Obasanjo even tried to play more politics than him. And I give you the breakdown. You understand? He fight enough systematically. But not everybody will understand what Obasanjo did. But this man came very open now. One, the policy of his government also affected the northern part of Nigeria very. Lot of his appointments affected the northern part of Nigeria. A lot of things you can put, all the budget you put. Don't forget about the economic policy. You understand?
I'm with you.
So the money that he is pumping is giving the last government, the governor. That cannot help you. You only earning them. Remember that in the south and northeast where I came from, all the governors, I don't know of Taraba, all of them that I last time. So you know that even to get that successful, that will succeed them, that also will create problems within their party. You understand? So they may not have that influence as you think that they may have influence to maneuver.
And that unity within the party.
Yes, and you know that Oga Ford, it will only take 2 Fridays. You understand?
2 Fridays.
The scholars,
the
2 Fridays.
ruler mans, huh?
The imams will just deliver one sermon before 2 weeks before election. The last election, thank God that the election always to be on Saturday. The last election, day before election, they will deliver one sermon. Then we will take a Christian who is a Christian. Jonathan will be accepted, born the south and south everywhere. Even in the northern part of Nigeria. Then you go for one time.
No, I'm also a Christian. No.
You're already revealing all your plans. Thank you for the call.
No, I'm not. I'm revealing to you because I'm nobody. I'm just a northerner, you know. Don't have a meaning for the decision maker.
All right, thank you so. Thank you, Malam Salah. Thank you so much, Malam.
You are welcome, sir. You are welcome.
Again, I've seen in the political space this calculation of even if the North wants to concede the presidency to the South so that that 8 years can be completed, Jonathan is already being prepped to complete. You know, I've gotten that calculation from somewhere.
This kind of calculations will never stop. But I think what is important is what the president do going forward. Do you understand?
Yes.
If the president can begin to change the minds of Nigerians,
right,
that everything I'm doing is in your best interest,
and they feel it and see it.
Look at me, I'm making the sacrifices. Just this evening alone, the president of Kenya has announced the cancellation of the offices of the first and second lady. Since the Gen Z
have started,
they don't want it. He has promised to cut the salaries of public officials.
Yeah.
I mean, and including the parliament and all of that. Here, it's a no-go area. The president is like, these are my guys. And you see, this is what I've been saying. This same group of people who are in power with him now have always been in power with others. They are undertakers. Once you are dead, they bury you, they move to the next victim. That's why he needs to go down to the people himself. The truth of the matter is that majority of those who voted for him in the last election, if elections are held today, they will not vote for him. That's his biggest challenge. Not what some politicians are doing about and cooking.
All right. Okay, let's just take this message on Facebook, and I think maybe we can squeeze in one more call before we call it a day on the show. Christopher Effiong is saying, good evening everyone in the studio. You guys are doing a great work. Keep it up. Well educated by these. President Tinubu cannot leave the political class. Come to the side of the people, which is the citizens. Reason is that he strongly believes that with politicians he can win election come 2027. Kenya people have spoken their minds, and presidents have had them, which is the dividends of democracy. Can Nigeria do that and succeed? The answer here is no. That's from Christopher Effiong. Let's just squeeze in one more call and then we call it a day on the show. The call will just be 1 minute. Any lucky? Hello, good evening. Yes, 1 minute, sir, because we need to leave the studio.
Yes. So, Mr. Fuad, this is Samuel calling you from Ikeja.
Yeah, Samuel, 1 minute.
Quickly, I want to say something. There's one thing that always annoys me when I hear people saying what is happening in Nigeria. It is not only in Nigeria that it happens in other places.
Certainly.
And I find it so funny. one issue to another. Okay, tell me what we are facing in Nigeria today. Who put us to this in this mess? And there is no way. If the president is telling us that this problem inherit all this problem, was the president not part and parcel of the previous government? Almost half of the appointment that the former president appointed, all the people were recommended by him. Most of them. So what are we talking about? You that say that you are an economist president, now Buhari did not know economics, now you are an economist. So what are we saying now? Look at what the mess we are in. It's unfortunate. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Samuel. That will be the last call for the evening. Barrister, your final take on the show.
I don't hate anyone.
There's nothing to do
I'm only fighting for poor people like me. And I think I'm right to say that we are more in number than those putting us down further down the bottom line of poverty. When people are elected, it's because they have newer vision, better and newer vision to solve our problems. Then when you now come and all you complain about is, oh, it's what I inherited from the last government. It's that's exactly what we're getting in Kenya too. He was part and parcel of that government. Do you understand? Now you already knew of the problem
before you put yourself up for
so please, Mr. President, take a second look at your relationship with the people. Forget about the politicians. Make lives and make living better for Nigerians, and I can assure you here that they will reward you in 2027 with their votes. See that you are fighting for them.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Kotsari. It has been an engaging session on the show. My name is Said Fuad. This is what we call the Dual Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's do this again next week.
Tune in to Mainland 98.3 FM Lagos, where conversations come alive. Join us for a thought-provoking talk that will challenge your perspective.